Hey Facebook, how you doing 500K group? How's everybody doing today? I'm just gonna open up my phone to make sure that this sucker is working and then we can get started. I'll give you guys a couple minutes to jump on and just say hello if you guys are hopping on, either live or on the replay. Excuse me, on the replay, you guys can also just type in hashtag replay and tag me if you guys have any questions because I'm always happy to support you, even if you're not here live, to come back and be able to connect with whatever it is you're looking for, whether it's questions or just feedback or, um, you want to weigh in on whatever it is we're discussing that day. So today we're talking about momentum, generating momentum in our personal lives and our professional lives and maintaining it, right? Because we can generate momentum, but then it only lasts for what? A minute or two, or it lasts for an hour, or it lasts for a week. And then we fizzle out and we go back to our old patterns, right? So how do we generate this momentum? And it's so cool because we have this ability we have the ability to do this for ourselves at any time, okay? And a lot of times we don't think we have a choice. A lot of times we get into victim mentality or we feel like we're stuck. And it's just simply not the case. So it's being able to identify, like, how can we tap into this concept, especially when we're at our lowest. So I'm going to share a story from myself. This can present in our lives and how we can move through it. Okay. So, for those of you who are not familiar with me, my name is Laura Mazzotta. I'm an Akashic healer and teacher. I've also been a therapist in New York for almost 20 years. And I shifted over entirely to holistic practices and spiritual healing because I found that as I started to use it for my own physical well-being, that it was the most efficient and effective form of getting to the root cause, getting to the core, and opening up to healing all aspects and layers of ourselves. We think that when we just heal our physical body or when we just heal our minds, that we're good, right? But the thing is, we exist at so many different layers. We're multidimensional beings. And so to be able to heal my physical body, but then find that my anxiety was gone and I felt super confident and I had forward momentum, it's amazing how much we don't realize is available to us until we're experiencing it. And that's definitely what happened to me because, like I said, I was a therapist for almost 20 years and I've always enjoyed being a therapist. I always appreciated the job that I did, the clients I worked with, and the day to day. But there was something missing for me. There was something that there wasn't much spark there. And when I got sick with sepsis about 5 years ago, I had big decisions to make. I had cut back on my work a couple different times because my mom had been sick, my dad had been sick and passed away. And so I had been supporting them and I had been adjusting my work hours. And then I had my third child, and that pregnancy was terrible. It was just the worst pregnancy ever. And I couldn't even stand for about 3 months. So it was lovely. And so I had to adjust work then. And then, of course, when I had her, we needed to adjust some things. And then I got sepsis and I couldn't do a lot. I was pretty non-functional for a good couple years. I mean, I could do things here and there, and I was still seeing, a handful of clients at that time off and on. I canceled a lot because I would never really be able to predict how I was feeling. And so what happened is, this is something that I created my entire life. It was something I'd had a dream to be a therapist since I was 12 years old. And I got to the point where, I no longer believed in it. That's the thing. I felt like I was a fraud showing up as a therapist, traditional therapist, because I don't believe in mental health diagnosis anymore. And I don't believe in the fact that we're stuck in things, because the fact is, if we're all energy and energy is always moving, then we're constantly transforming. And that means that we always have a choice in any moment to choose a different direction, to choose a different persona, to choose a different reality than we're actually living, right? But getting to that point, that can feel really big and really daunting to people. Hi, Valencia. So good to see you. Thanks for saying hello, honey. So I don't even remember where I was, see, because I was so excited to see Valencia. I'm also impressed that you're multitasking because I'm not super good at that. So anyway, but thanks for tuning in, honey. It's so good to see you. I love your energy. You're just so full of love. So we get into this place where we think we don't have options, right? So I felt super stuck. I felt like I don't know if I'm going to get better. Even if I do, I don't know when I'm going to get better. I don't know how to move forward. And I had so much of my pride caught up in my work, so much of my pride caught up in what I did for a living. I love helping people. I still love helping people heal. It's my mission on this planet, and I know that. But it's also being very aware of not allowing my identity to be caught up in what I'm doing. Because when I do that and I allow my identity to be caught up in what I'm doing, then when things change, like say my health or something else, like a curveball in a relationship or financially or something like that, then I feel like my identity's rocky because my identity has been so tied to whatever it is I'm latching on to. And for me, it was work, right? And I had a history of trauma for many, many years from the time that I was young. And, I think for me, there was, of course, a very healing component to being able to do this for other people. But unfortunately, it was misguided, right? That momentum, I was riding other people's momentum. So that's point one, really, is to realize that, like, riding other people's momentum or the momentum of a role in my life, like my role being a therapist, or my role being a wife or a mother or whatever it is, that role that whatever that role is that I'm attaching to, I am then allowing that to generate my momentum for me rather than myself, my heart, that spark within me, right? And it's really important that we realize that the spiritual soulful form of us, the energetic form of us, is always guiding us. We are always feeling momentum from within. It's just, are we recognizing it and are we responding to it? And that can be really hard to do because for me, when I was sick after sepsis and I couldn't get my butt off the couch most of the time, I couldn't think. I had like brain fog for the longest time. And I was having trouble focusing and, what else? There were so many things. I could go on. I couldn't eat well. I mean, there were so many things, but I was basically in bed 90% of the time. And I couldn't really focus on much. I couldn't read much. I just couldn't do much. And so when you're at that point where you truly feel like you do not have any options, like I don't know how to get myself out of bed physically from a physical standpoint, and emotionally I'm feeling kind of like stuck, right? Like I definitely got into a depressed state because of the state of my physical body. And there can be so many reasons we get to that point. But then I felt like I don't have any options, right? Like, how do I get out of this? I had lost my momentum, or at least I thought I did. I thought I had lost my momentum. When really I just needed to get creative about how to access it again, how to return to it. Because we never lose momentum. It's just a matter of being distracted from it or not focusing on it or not remembering that it's there, not taking that moment to tune in and connect with it and get information from our momentum about where we're meant to go. I had an idea in my head about where I wanted to go with my business, with my life, etc. That might not necessarily be, and it wasn't, in alignment with my soul's purpose. Now, that doesn't mean that it was the wrong choice for me. It was still a good choice for me because it was a stepping stone on my path, and it was a necessary layer for me to move through to be able to get to this opening of what's next for me, right? So what I would do is I would lay in bed, and finally I just started to meditate because I was like, why not? I can't do anything else. So I'm just going to start meditating. So that's what I did. I started to meditate. And then after, I'd say a few weeks, I was doing it every day because I really wasn't doing much. I was laying in bed all the time. Um, and I noticed that when I would miss a day of meditation, I wouldn't feel as well. It was primarily related to the brain fog, but I just wouldn't feel as well. I wouldn't be as focused. I wouldn't have as much clarity. Hi, Darlene. So good to see you, honey. I just wouldn't have as much clarity. I didn't feel great. So I started to think that this is something that I might be onto. I was like, oh, wow, okay. Because I said for years, I suck at meditating. I hate meditating. Every time somebody would tell me to do it, I'd say, nope, I suck at it and I don't like it. And it's simply because I was resistant to sitting with myself in stillness, and I was a perfectionist, so I was afraid I was going to screw it up. I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do with this, and that held me back from being able to make choices that were truly in my highest good, right? So it's funny that when all of those faculties get removed from us and we have the opportunity to be in this space, and I say opportunity intentionally, because it's truly an opportunity to be in a place where you feel stuck, to say, okay, I get to turn on my creative juices here. Let them start flowing and understand, how do I build momentum uniquely for myself to be able to move forward toward my soul's purpose, not towards society's expectations of me. We get to remove all of that. It's very interesting when we identify how to build and generate momentum without considering anything external to us, not considering other people that are helping us build momentum, our job, our role, our children, getting up and making breakfast, any of the above. And when we remove all the conditioning and all the expectations that you've placed on yourself or somebody else has placed on you, and the roles that you occupy and the circumstances you find yourself in, you then have this opportunity to generate momentum from where? Just within you. The number one place to start with this is meditation. I think Darlene said something, I agree 100%. Yeah, it really is. And I resisted it for so long, because that's when those mind-blowing ideas are going to drop in that are going to give you the answer for how to generate momentum for yourself going forward. We can talk about strategy, business strategy, until the ends of the earth. I have piles and piles and folders and binders full of business strategy from courses that I've taken and things that I've learned, because I've been an entrepreneur for almost 20 years now. As a therapist prior to being an Akashic healer, right? So I have so much strategy, binders and binders of it. But if I don't have momentum, none of it's happening. If I don't have the energetic backing to drive that train and drive that strategy, it's going to fizzle out. It's not going to have staying power. So don't get so latched on to the strategy and the steps and the task-oriented skills that you need to move forward. I'm not saying they're not valuable, because they absolutely are. But it's a marriage. It's a marriage between them and your momentum. So if you had to identify where your momentum is on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being an enormous amount of momentum, and 1 being, I'm just kind of barely scraping by here, coasting in on fumes. Where would you identify yourself? Yes, they are, Angela. Thanks for being here. And listen, if you're not a meditator, there's a couple things I want to say. 1, there are so many different forms of meditation. You can gaze at a candle flame, which I think is the best way to start, because it combines a lot of your senses. So you're also going to feel grounded at the same time that you're accessing this meditative space. You can do written meditation. Yay, Angela, I'm celebrating you for your 7 to 8. So what would it take for you to generate momentum to higher than a 7 or 8? Or do you feel like you want to? Because that's the other piece. There are times when we don't want momentum. There are times when our physical bodies will say, I need rest. When our minds will say, I need rest. And there are times when momentum is something that we need to put on the side. It's something we can control. And that's the important piece to take from this, is that it's something we get to choose, okay? It's not like, oh, I don't have momentum or I do have momentum naturally, innately within me. We all have it. So it's being able to say, how do I want more momentum, or am I good where I am right now? Because you don't want to break the human by pushing the train, right? Generating momentum at a time when your body or your mind or your energy field really needs rest. Okay, because when it really needs rest, you want to honor that, because you're going to screw up your momentum if you're not listening to what you naturally need in the moment. Okay, so you started with the candle this morning. Oh, I love that, Angela. Oh my gosh, it totally does, Darlene. Valencia, feels like a 10 inside me, but last week feels like a 4 or 5. Right, exactly, honey. So that's what I'm talking about, right? Is that ability to maintain it, right? Not just tapping into it, which is great, because now you have a formula for success. Now you know what it feels like. You know what it feels like to have momentum. So you just take that blueprint for success, write yourself a letter when you're here right now at a 10, right? When you're at a 10, write yourself a letter to that 4 or 5 level version of you, and allow yourself to see what your formula for success was to get to that 10. Keeping in mind that when we get to that 10, awesome, ride the wave, love it, use it, take advantage of it. Consciously choose to turn off the momentum at a certain time so that you can rest, so that you can integrate, so that you can restore, so that you can fill your cup to overflowing, so you can give to others, so you can go into meditation and be in stillness and receive the wisdom, the insight, the clarity, the confidence, the understanding of exactly what needs to come through for the highest good of everyone within your field, not just you. But let that inner wisdom dictate what people need, rather than having a million people come at you and saying, oh, I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this. Can you give me all that? Yeah, if it's aligned for you, yeah, sure. Like if that feels really exciting in your being, do it. But I guarantee you, Valencia, that you've gotten distracted. You've gotten distracted by one of two things. You've either gotten distracted by all the stuff that goes on outside of you, other people, other situations, other coaches, other things you're seeing online, etc. Or your belief started to waver. You started to doubt yourself. You started to doubt your abilities. You started to doubt that you have this momentum within you. You doubted that the spark is there. You doubted that it's going to grow. Just like you said here, guaranteed, because you said on the verge of taking more action, but feeling some resistance. So tell the resistance who's boss, right? And if the resistance says, nope, I'm still not going, then you need to understand it more. You need to lean into the resistance. You need to turn toward it and say, hey, thanks for showing up. Apparently you're here with a very important message for me. What is it that you need me to understand? What is the lesson that I need to know right now to be able to move forward and take the action that feels very aligned to me? The message you may receive is, it's not aligned. There have been times that I have downloaded a program and I have launched it, crickets. That's happened to me. And guess what I do? I immediately say, must not be aligned. And I move on to what is aligned. That's when I tune in and I say, I don't get upset. I don't beat myself up. I don't sit there and cry for days and think that I suck at what I do and that nobody's ever going to come to me, because there's no reason that I would be put in this role and that my soul would have chosen this journey and that I would have chosen this position if it weren't meant for me. I never would have left my therapy practice. Never would have chosen to do that. I loved what I was doing. I just didn't realize that I could love what I was doing even more than what I was already doing. Right? I wasn't aware of it until I was in it. So that's the other piece of momentum, is staying open, like staying really aware and really receptive of what's coming in around you. Because what you're going to realize is that as you open your awareness more, as you start to really look for, how is the universe supporting me? How are other people supporting me by being in this world with me? How are my symptoms supporting me? How is it all making things easier? How is it putting me on the fast track to moving forward? Because sepsis put me on the fast track, which is so funny because you would think that it didn't, because it knocked me down physically for years, right? But it actually put me on the fast track to my happiness. It put me on the fast track to my confidence. It put me on the fast track to my wellness. It put me on the fast track to being more connected with my family, right? So taking that step as well, meditation is going to increase your ability to be open and your awareness for sure. But also just intentionally looking for what validates the next level of you. Not where you are right now. That's what we mostly do, is we look for things to validate where we currently are, what we're currently doing, who we currently are, how we're acting, etc. Instead, it's look for the confirmation and the validation outside of you that that next level version of you is coming. And that doesn't mean that you're codependent on external signals. What it is it's you setting a very focused intention on where you want to go and who you want to be and that next level of you, and you're just allowing it to come in because you're training your awareness to focus in the direction you want to go. Darlene, as a former therapist, I felt the same. No longer viewed in the education paradigm. Exactly. That's how I feel. It's like being a therapist was, I changed hundreds and hundreds of lives. I did. And I know I did. And there was a part of me that felt very, very guilty about leaving that role because I felt like I'm helping all of these people, right? Kind of that they need me mentality, which was exactly what helped me then identify, no, that's fucked up. I don't want them to need me. I want to be scarce so that they can feel empowered. I don't want people coming in and just saying, save me. Because basically that's what most of them did. Oh, I don't know what to do, save me. And I think that some of that is because of the way the mental health system works. And some of that is because of, I believe that when people invest more in themselves financially, instead of just paying a tiny little copay, they show up to do the work more. I know I'm the same way. When I pay 15 grand for my coach versus $20 for a copay at a therapist's office, guess what I'm going to value more highly? And that sounds silly, right? It sounds silly because I do have a choice to invest in both at the same level, 100%. But it's just the way that the human mind works, and it's the way that we are conditioned, right? And it's like, oh, the system's going to take care of me. This is going to, or they check it off their list, right? It becomes something that they're not as invested in because there's not as much stock in it for them, right? Because they're in such dire straits when they come in. And so I think it's really important to identify, where are we looking? Just like I was saying, what are you looking to become? Who are you looking to become? How are you looking to feel? What are you looking to generate energetically? Not financially necessarily, although money's an energy. Not in terms of how many clients you have, not in terms of how many hours a week you work. But how do you want to feel, right? And that's the standpoint from which you ask yourself, where is my momentum? Are my current actions in line with that? And what are the signs that are coming from the universe to validate that, yes, I am on that path. I am moving forward. If you're going to rely on anything external to you, rely on the universe. And I will argue, it's not external to you because you are the universe is within you. We're all one big happy family, right? So that's the other piece here, right? There was meditation, there was awareness and openness, right, to what's coming towards you for that next level version of you. And then the third one is taking action, right? Taking action in accordance with that next level version of you. How would that next level version of you act? What would she say? How would she speak? How would she feel? How would she dress? How would she eat? What would her daily routine look like? How much sleep would she get? Who would she hang out with? What are the activities she would do on the weekends? Just pick one and start with that. Start aligning with the lifestyle that you are attuning to. And see it that way. You can even use that as a mantra. I am attuning to the next level version of me in every decision I make. I am attuning to the next level version of me every time I sit down and meditate. I am attuning to the next level version of me when I allow myself a moment of stillness, when I take action towards my desires, right? So you can add that little step 4 of a mantra in there if you'd like, just to be supportive and to remind your conscious mind that we are rewiring the story. We are remapping the story, okay? So does anybody have any questions before I jump off? I actually have a course starting called Momentum. And I'm going to teach you all of the steps that I took from laying in bed and not being able to move, not being able to think. I actually didn't even speak for almost 3 weeks after sepsis. My husband was calling me that was the nonverbal Laura time because I was so short of breath I could hardly speak. So having no momentum, being depressed and anxious because I didn't know what the hell was happening to me, and I got a lot of mixed messages from the doctor. Some of them were quite dire. So going from that state to literally a soaring multiple 6-figure business online, while I get to stay home and snuggle with my kids and spend 80% of my time, probably 85% of my time, taking care of myself. I'm going to teach you exactly how I did that. And if you want to join me for this, it's going to be a digital course. So I'm inviting people to join me as I record it. So you're getting a bargain because it's $444 pay in full. Or you can contact me if you want a payment plan. But those people who join me while I'm recording this live are going to get the bonus of a Q&A before and after each session every single week, which is huge because that's not going to be available to people for the digital modules. They're simply just going to receive the digital modules, and they could pay more to upgrade to a VIP, but this is really my opportunity to say, hey, I am recording this and I am inviting you into consistent momentum, a particular protocol and formula that you can use time and time again, because newsflash, you're a human being. There are going to be times when you lose momentum, but it's making those times less often, making those times shorter, and making them less intense, right? So that you're more resilient, you're bouncing back quicker, okay, and getting yourself back on track with ease and grace too. Like you're not being hard on yourself and beating yourself up while you get back onto the train, right? So I could literally talk about momentum all day long. I have so many downloads and so much information and so much guidance around this. I've been helping people gain momentum for over 2 decades. So let me know, just reach out to me if you're interested. And I'm happy to connect with you as to whether this would be a good fit for you and what questions you have. And I can get you registered if you'd like to register. So let me know, reach out over Messenger if you'd like. I'm at Laura Mazzotta. Thank you for joining me today, either live or on the replay. Sending you so much love, and I will see you next Monday here at 1 p.m. Eastern. Bye.